Welcome to this short tutorial on impromptu speaking, also known as how to survive table topics. Table topics is one of the most terrifying and unnerving experiences that you're going to face in your public speaking workshop. What I want to do today is help you overcome that fear and prepare you as best as possible for your next table topics experience. So let's just jump right into it. The salutation and the opening. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to be called up for a table topics, and rather than try to figure out how you're going to start the table topics, just go back to this standard salutation. Table topics master and fellow participants. That way you don't have to think about how you're going to start your table topics. Very simple. Table topics master and fellow participants. Now you're faced with the question or the topic that you've been given. So you have to quickly think and brainstorm about what you're going to talk about. So here are some tips. Think about how this topic or question might relate to your day-to-day activities. Is it something that you can talk about that you do on a regular basis? If so, that's going to make the talk a lot easier. Also, think about any family or friends that this topic or subject might relate to as well, and then bring their experiences into your talk. You could also think about, how does this relate to work or school? If it's something that relates to a school project or a subject that you're taking right now in school, then once again, that's an easy lead-in to your table topics. And finally, you can also think about recent events or something that has been in the news lately. If that is the case, then bring that into your topic as well. So think about these types of triggers to help you brainstorm ideas to talk about during your table topic speech. Now the next thing is, how do you ease into your topic? Well, you could also repeat the question or the topic as a way to once again establish what you're going to be talking about. Now if this is something that relates to some sort of opinion or taking a side, then you might want to state your side or opinion up front as well. And also, if it's going to be a personal story or personal experience, then you can also say something like, this reminds me of the time I was in elementary school, and that would be a nice opening and lead-in into the body of your table topics. Now, the body of your table topics, this is the meat of your speech. So you're going to spend the most of the time focusing on the body of your table topics. And this is what you want to share with your audience, and this is how you're going to get the audience sort of engaged and also on your side during your short presentation. Now, if you are taking a position, you want to make sure that your presentation is balanced. Talk about some of the pros, cons, advantages, or disadvantages, and then also use actual facts to persuade the audience. Now, if this is going to be a personal story or a personal experience, then think about presenting this in a logical flow. When I was in elementary school, progressing to junior high, progressing to my days now as a university student. And that's going to once again give a logical flow to your audience. If you're talking about a personal experience, speak with emotion and authenticity. The audience can quickly pick up if you're not being authentic with them. So basically, think about how you can convey emotion, authenticity into your delivery of your personal story. Now, when the warning light comes on, that could mean you only have 15 or 30 seconds remaining. So this is the time to think about wrapping up your table topics. Now, in this particular situation, if you're taking a position or a side, then restate your position and perhaps give the audience some sort of call to action. Now is the time to take action. And that, once again, is a good way to conclude your table topics. If you are, let's say, sharing a personal story or experience, then talk about maybe how this has impacted your life and what you have learned from this experience, and leave your audience with that learning experience. Now, remember, there's no need to say thank you. The audience should be thanking you for taking the time to share your ideas and experiences with them. The easy way to wrap up the table topics is turn to the table topics master and say, table topics master, and return the podium to that individual. Very simple, very short. Now here are some survival tips. How are you going to survive table topics? Now, show confidence. If you're not comfortable using your hands and body gestures, then keep your hands at the side, keep them steady so they're not shaking and moving around. Also think about keeping your feet steady as well. Once again, until you're comfortable moving your body, keep your feet solid and standing very firmly on the floor. And also think about using strong eye contact. Eye contact is one of those types of skills that does take a lot of practice. It takes practice to look at each audience member for a few seconds in the eye. And once again, try not to stare. That's the worst thing you can do, is actually try to stare down your audience members. Just sort of look at each audience member. Once you convey a thought, move on to the next audience member, and that's going to draw your audience members into your delivery. And don't scan and look around the room. That's the last thing you want to do. That's going to distract the audience if you keep scanning the room and looking up and down at your feet. Just try to practice looking at the audience members one by one. Once you've completed a thought or a sentence, move on to the next audience member. Once again, that's going to draw the audience members into your speech, and it's going to make them feel part of your delivery. A couple final thoughts. Using body language and hand gestures. Now, this is something that will be really useful, and once again, helping to transition from one thought to another. Think about moving into one direction of the room. Once you've completed that thought, then turn your body and move to the other part of the room. And once again, this takes practice to do it naturally. If you are talking about something important, try not to move. It's very important that when you're conveying something of critical importance, that you stand solid, and that once again will convey a lot more urgency and a lot more sort of importance on that particular point. Now, use hand gestures to emphasize key thoughts. You can also use hand gestures if you're conveying a list. This is item number 1, item number 2, and then the final point is. And once again, that takes practice as well. And also think about vocal variety. If you are going to talk about something that is really important, think about slowing down your pace and speaking a lot slower. That's, again, going to convey importance. If you are talking about something that's really exciting, then think about speeding it up a little bit. That's going to, once again, convey the excitement that you have to the audience. And finally, on this slide, think about using pitch. Now, once again, if you are talking about something very important, then think about using a stronger, more solid pitch. And then once again, something exciting, speed it up a little bit more to once again get the audience excited as well. And also pausing. Pausing is one of the most effective ways to once again emphasize a very strong point. Pausing takes a lot of practice and a lot of confidence. Those few seconds that you pause in between seconds and thoughts may seem like decades, but using a pause technique, counting to 3, will once again emphasize very important points before you move on to the next point. And to wrap up this short tutorial, let's talk about some final thoughts. Now, this is a learning process, and this is something that you're going to get better at over time. So take each experience with a grain of salt. Obviously, at the very beginning, you're not going to do as well as you would hope, but every week you should see improvement. Now, everyone is nervous, and what you want to do is use some of that nervous energy to your advantage. It's good to be a little bit nervous because that's going to create some energy and excitement in your delivery. Now, after your table topics, there will likely be evaluations, and you want to make sure that you listen to your evaluations carefully. Think about what the evaluator said and write that down so you can practice those areas that are challenging you and try to improve that next time around. Also, do some self-evaluation. Think about what you were comfortable with, what you were uncomfortable with. Write that down and track your progress every week as well. Also, keep track of your ums and ahs and have fun. This is a supportive environment. And also, congratulate yourself on taking the first step to becoming a better public speaker. Enjoy the rest of your public speaking experience.